Always good to be in San Diego. It is a beautiful Friday night. It's a bit chill. Did I say Friday? It's Monday. I got to recheck that. Let's start over. It's a beautiful Monday night in San Diego. It is a bit chilly, though, as the Rockies and Padres play their second series of the year. The Padres took 2 of 3 in Denver in April. It is 61 degrees, the game time temperature. It's really cool in Phoenix, and I guess the same here in San Diego. Charlie Blackmon naturally is going to lead things off. Came back on Friday night off the disabled list, and he had a very solid series in Arizona. He was on base quite a bit, and he'll be followed in the batting order by Walt Weiss's affirmation with Trevor Story batting second. All this brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Cargo bat third, Nolan Arenado, 305 batting average. He's hit a home run in 4 of his last 5. Gerardo Parra, Nick Hundley, Ben Paulson, he's swinging the bat well at 320. DJ will bat 8th in front of John Gray. And for the second time this year, Huey, the Rockies will take on James Shields. This is his 6th start. His record's 0-4. And the club has not won any of his starts because they don't score when he's on the hill.
Yeah, just 5 runs in the 35 innings that he has pitched this year, and it's a much different James Shields than last year as far as the 1-loss record, because he won his first 7 decisions a year ago. But this club does not provide any run support for him. Fastball, cutter, changeup, and curveball. And it's really no different with the first 3. It's his curveball that he's been struggling with. The whiff percentage on that last year was over 50%. This year it's below 10%, especially when he throws it down and in the zone, down low in the zone. And
his strikeout totals are way down. Last year he averaged a strikeout, more than a strikeout per inning pitched. Struck out 216 and 202 and a third. He's got one of the lowest strikeout rates of his career going right now. So here's Charlie on base 7 times in that Arizona series, and he squares around and takes ball 1. Home plate umpire tonight is Bill Miller. Pat Hoberg's at first, Brian Knight at second, Todd Tischner is at third base. Brett Wallace at third, still on the grass, and that misses away. Padres took 2 of 3 against the Dodgers north of here in LA over the weekend. They got beat yesterday by Clayton Kershaw 1-0. In fact, Kershaw went the distance, struck out 14 and drove in the only run of the game.
Went Little League on him, but talking to people with San Diego yesterday, they said he just took the mound with an intensity level after losing those 5 games in a row. And he said, "No, boys, this is me. I'm gonna take us and break that streak right now." And it didn't matter whether it was fastball, curveball, he dominated.
Charlie went around. It's 2-2. He may be, I don't want to say the only guy, but one of a couple that is a true 4-pitch starting pitcher where all 4 of his pitchers are plus.
Yeah, and that's why he's where he's at with all the records.
Shields throws a changeup. James Shields has 4 good pitches, and James Shields will throw any of those pitches in any count.
43% of the time with his fastball, his cutter 24, changeup 21, curveball 12%. And he will cut the fastball to the right-handers as well as the left-handers. He'll also throw changeups to right-handers. Working away on the Subaru strike zone. Now they're going to try to cut a fastball in.
Left over the plate. This is hit a long way to right. Got a chance to get out if it's fair. It is a foul ball. But Charlie had just hit his 7th career leadoff home run.
Right down the line.
That wasn't foul by much.
A couple seats. Charlie was all the way around first base by the time that ball landed in the seats. He thought it was gone. Now, did they back it up with another fastball in?
I bet you goes
I don't think so. You're right, changeup.
And this is on the ground to second. An easy play for Jamal Weeks. 1 out. Well, that'll bring up Trevor's story. And it seems not a night goes by that we're not congratulating Trevor for something. And tonight we congratulate him for being the National League Rookie of the Month. That was a shocker. 24 hits, 10 home runs, 17 extra base hits. He drove in 20. What a spectacular first month in the big leagues for Trevor Story. Passed him in the lobby. It was last night. You know, he's having to sign a multitude of autographs, which, you know, it comes with the territory. But you think about it, a month ago, I mean, he could have walked, you know, through any place virtually in Denver and not be recognized.
Well, we saw it down in Arizona with that kid that was wearing the Diamondbacks paraphernalia, but he brought the sign. I came to watch Trevor's Story.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how he's grown, not only for the Rockies, but nationally.
Yep. First time he's played at Petco through travel ball experiences. He's played in San Diego and this part of the world growing up. 3 on the left side, and there's a bunt attempt, and Shields got off the mound quickly, but they're not going to get him, and he throws it into short right field. And Trevor thought about it, and I'll tell you what, I'm not so sure he wouldn't have made it had he made a left turn there, because Matt Kemp had a long way to go still, and he would have had to do a 270 to flip around and fire to second.
But what a bunt by Trevor. This is the first time we've seen this, and James Shields comes up and throws it underhand. And right here, if he takes off, as soon as he gets by the bag about his third stride, he can make it if he decides to go. But I think all his momentum was, I'm trying to get that base hit, trying to get on the base, and just decided not to go.
EY initially, and everything's fractions of a second, EY initially was telling him to go, and then once he hesitated, he said, don't stay here. So a 1-out bunt single for Story, and here's Cargo. Cargo has real good numbers historically against James Shields.
9 for 25 with 3 home runs.
And he got an off-speed pitch, so it's 0-1. Cargo had a great series down in Arizona. Didn't play Friday night, but the last 2 days he was on base 7 out of 10 plate appearances. Story has 1 stolen base. Things on his plate in his first month or so in the big leagues, but he'll be able to steal bases.
Just let him get comfortable doing the other things, and then the stolen bases, if they happen, will come later on.
And back-to-back changeups, and it's 0-2 on Cargo.
This is where we've seen Cargo go ahead and hit the ball the other way. I mean, they're still playing this shift. They did it in Arizona the whole time, and he had 2 or 3 hits to the left side. He has more hits to left field than he does to center field or right field.
Isn't that something?
13 hits to left, 11 to center, and 8 to right for Cargo.
And you know, at the end of the year, he's going to hit 30-plus home runs.
He will.
They set up away. We go change up a 3rd time. He did, and it's bounced to first and double play. What a quick release by Alexi Ramirez at shortstop. So they turn it over. 3-6-4 is the double play if he scored this at home. in San Diego. John Gray's on the mound for the Rockies, and the first guy he'll face is John Jay. So John Gray to John Jay. John Jay had a forgettable day yesterday. Most people usually do, facing Clayton Kershaw, 0 for 4. Golden Sombrero struck out 4 times. He's had a good year thus far. He's one of the few Padres who's been steady offensively. He'll be followed by Will Myers, who's got the average at 300. Matt Kemp has been good, 7 home runs for Matt. And then some guys that weren't playing a lot earlier. Brett Wallace, Lexi Ramirez was. Derek Norris has really struggled. Jamal Weeks was in the minor leagues at the start of the year. Travis Jankowski, Stony Brook product, was called up as well. They have 3 infielders on the disabled list as John Gray misses ball 1. Corey Spangenberg is on the DL. Solarte, remember, got hurt against the Rockies.
Hamstring.
That's fouled off. And also Alexi Amarista, who came up because of the injuries. He's got a hamstring now. So you have 2 hamstrings and a quad strain. That's the injury for Spangenberg.
Half of your starting infield from opening day on the DL.
1 ball, 1 strike. And the fastball inside. Talking to Steve Foster prior to the ball game. He wants to see John Gray move that fastball around the strike zone and be aggressive with it. 2-1. And that's a base hit to left.
Take a look at the numbers for John Gray this season. 3rd start, 12 strikeouts. 10 of those came in the game against the Dodgers. But he is returning here to San Diego, where he probably had the best start, I think, of his young career. Back in September of last year, 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, 6 strikeouts, couple walks, no runs. The Rockies ended up losing that game 2-1, but John went out there and he pitched a whale of a ball game. Fastball, slider, changeup, and curveball like we've seen. And it's going to come down, as you mentioned, Drew, to that fastball command to set up the slider, his strikeout pitch.
And that's a broken bat base hit the other way. Going first to third is John Jay. And the Padres, a team that's been anemic for the most part offensively, have runners on the corners and nobody out.
Yeah, John Jay hit one into left field, and now Will Myers off the end of the bat.
Not a bad pitch.
No, he broke his bat. Bloofs one into right field. John had the read, knowing with the broken bat that it's just going to die out there. Went first to third.
So that'll bring up Matt Kemp, who tore up the Rockies in that series in Denver. The Padres got shut out their first 3 games of the year against the Dodgers. Then they come to Colorado and scored 32 runs.
They hit 400 with runners in scoring position that first series in Colorado. They were 16 for 40.
Kemp was 7 for 15 with 3 homers. And this is a slider bounce foul. They drove in 10 in that series. So Matt has 7 home runs. Last year, he didn't hit his 7th home run until the second half of the year. Game number 86. He's typically been a better second half guy than first half guy. 0-1. And that's down the line. Fair ball. Into the corner. 1 run is scored. And Will Myers gets a green light. Will Myers will score. It's a 2-run double for Kemp, and the Padres have not made an out here in the first. Single, double. And they have the quick jump on John Gray and the Rockies.
The first 2 singles were on fastballs. This was a slider that didn't do anything. Just stayed there right down the line past Nolan. The backup slider that Matt Kemp was able to pull.
So in a little more than 3 games, because we're in the bottom of the first, Matt Kemp has driven in 12 of his 21 runs against the Rockies. And now Brett Wallace comes up. That base hit was on a slider. The first 2 hits, albeit they were broken bat hits, but they count just the same. The league coming in hitting .526 against John Gray's fastball, and you say, how can that be? This guy's throwing, in the mid to upper 90s. They evidently see it well.
Yeah, just 211 on the slider, but the fastball, more times than not, when it's getting hit off of John, has been mislocation. And I mean, not by an inch or two. It's been more 6 to 8 inches. When the pitch to John Jay, even though he blooped it there, it was more up, easier ball to handle.
2-0 on Wallace. 3-0 on Wallace. Not close.
And I think that's why you'll see on this graphic why he's going to more sliders and less fastballs, because of that number that you referenced, Drew, with the .526 batting average against for the fastball.
And a called strike. Brett Wallace, former first team, 2-time All-American at Arizona State. In fact, he's one of 5 players to win Conference Player of the Year in back-to-back years in the Pac-12. This guy had a phenomenal career in Tempe. It has not translated to the big leagues. And that cuts inside. So now the first 4 have reached for San Diego, and Alexi Ramirez, the former White Sox, will come up. Rockies defensively on a Monday night in San Diego will have Parra in left, Blackman in center, and Cargo in right. Arenado, Story, LeMahieu, Paulson in the infield with the former Padre Nick Hundley behind the plate. John Gray lasted just 3 2/3 against the Pirates through 96 pitches, a career high. And a good slider, 0-1.
There's nothing wrong with the velocity on either of his pitches, the fastball or the slider. 86. We've seen a 96-mile-an-hour fastball.
Ramirez riding a 7-game hitting streak, hitting .407 during that stretch. And that's fouled off.
A little bit different Alexi Ramirez than what we saw back in Colorado. He was in one of those 1-for-20s to start the season.
Kemp at second, Brett Wallace at first, nobody out. 2-strike pitch upcoming. That was a curveball first he's thrown tonight. Chopped that slider foul.
That's where you want to pitch Alexi. You don't want to come in because the power that he does have is on the pull side.
And he got him on a slider that was up and out of the zone. So that's the first out of the inning.
Well, he's hurt with the backup slider to Matt Kemp This is a backup slider, but it was higher at the top of the Subaru strike zone.
That'll bring up Derek Norris, the struggling backstop for San Diego. He's hitting 150, but he's hitting just 113 against right-handed pitchers, 6 for 53.
And also worse with runners in scoring position, 050, which is the worst in the major leagues.
Slider for a strike.
And last year he came over here, Derek Norris did, just set highs in a lot of offensive categories for his career.
And defensive categories. Never known as a great catch and throw guy, but he led all of baseball in throwing out runners last year. One ball, one strike. That's a nasty curveball. John really broke that one off.
Well,
1-2.
Yeah, and he finished the curveball. I mean, by getting out in front and really torquing down on it to get the downward bite. I mean, that's about as good a curveball as we've seen John throw this year or last year.
Then he came back with the heater. It's fouled off. Two runs in here in the first inning for the Padres. Another 1-2. See ya. He came back and painted the outside corner at 97. 2 outs, and that'll bring up Jemile Weeks.
And it was set up because you had Derek swing at that 78-mile-an-hour curveball. Then he paints the fastball inside at 97, and Derek was just tip your cap and walk back. He was guessing something else, had to have been.
So here's Jemile Weeks. Rockies played against Ricky Weeks over the weekend. Ricky came off the bench, had a couple of bullets yesterday. One for a base hit, one that he thought would have been a base hit, was absolutely robbed by Nolan Arenado, who threw him out from the seat of his pants. The ball came off the bat at like 6,000 miles an hour.
Actually, it was 111 miles an hour, but it seemed like 6,000.
One of the harder hit balls in the game this year.
Yeah, 111 miles an hour. And he made it look like another routine play.
So let's look again at what Nolan did defensively yesterday.
Yeah, first off of the bat of Chris Owing, had to go up high, good speed coming down the line, doesn't have time to set his feet. And then this is the play to me that topped the other one 10 times. 111 miles an hour from his knees, ends up on his back.
I asked him today, I said, which one do you think was better? And he said probably the one where I had to leap because, you know, I was off balance and had to throw from an odd arm angle. This ball is lined toward Cargo. He's right there. That'll end the inning. The other one, he said, you know, it was hard. I was sitting on my butt throwing, but I've done that before. There you go. 2-0 San Diego on the 2-run double by Matt Kemp. On Root Sports is brought to you by Bank of the West. For a personal approach to banking, go West, Bank of the West. By your hometown Toyota stores, Toyota, let's go places. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Well, no way. I mean, our Navy's outstanding, but I don't think they have a boat moving that fast.
That's a time lapse from our director Mike Fox's room today.
Did that in his room.
Yeah, he's just set up the time lapse.
Then just shot it out the window.
Yeah, okay. With his GoPro.
Nolan hits the ball through the right side. That area vacated. Jamal Weeks was on the left side, so Nolan has a leadoff single here in the second with the Rockies trailing 2-0.
That was the only place he was trying to hit the ball in this at bat.
Well, Nolan
you just tell by his swing.
James Shields, close to a 500 average against Shields in his career.
He doesn't even make a full swing. Just see the chop and just says, I'm going to take what they give me. Down by a couple runs, actually get on base.
Yeah, he's actually well over 500 now. He's 13 for 24 with 4 home runs. That computes to a 542 average. So Nolan aboard for Gerardo Parra. Outside on Parra. Parra, as we discussed during the Open, riding a 7-game hitting streak. Only seen James Shields in that first game this year, 0 for 3. Kind of surprised at that he hadn't seen Shields a little bit more.
Even when Gerardo, though, was over in the other league last year, James was back, and it could have been just a matchup. Or it just didn't, his turn in the rotation just didn't come up when they were playing against each other.
Shields is durable pitcher as we have seen in a long time. He and Felix Hernandez, Justin Verlander, those guys never miss.
King Felix and James, they just go back and forth. It depends on who makes the start, who is #1 or who is #2 in innings pitched. But coming into the game, James Shields was #1 with 2,021 innings since the start of 2007.
9 straight years of throwing 200 innings or more. And there's his career mark of 127 and 101. One and 2 on Parra. Shields' velocity's down. That's not a surprise. He's, well into his 30s.
All those innings.
All the innings.
Now he averages right at 90, which is a couple miles an hour below the major league average.
And below what he used to throw at. Parra is ready to go. And another changeup. That's been the predominant pitch so far early in the game from James Shields. And a pitch coming in, as Huey mentioned, he throws about 20% of the time. And more than that so far, threw 3 straight changeups to Cargo last inning, inducing in a very strange 3-6-4 double play.
Changeups being hit at just 111 against James Shields, a fastball at 298. So that's why he's throwing more changeups.
And you have a real good fastball hitting team in the Rockies.
Doesn't look like he has some movement, extra movement on the change tonight.
I think Parra is doing the right thing. Shields has really slowed the tempo down.
Yeah, you don't want to get locked up in the yeah, exactly. He's doing the right. You're right, Drew. Do the right thing as a hitter. You set the tempo. No, these two guys can't get on the same page.
Which is a little odd because Norris caught him last year.
Well, and there's nobody on at second base, so you don't have to flash extra signs. You want the fastball? No. Shake to 2. Curveball? Nope. 3 slider? Nope. 4 changeup. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty
Some
much
guys
what you
will
got.
just wipe down their leg.
Yeah, and just try to add or subtract with their glove.
It is another changeup. And he got him. Boy, he's executing that pitch. First strikeout for Shields. That'll bring up Nick Hundley. Fans, if the Rockies score 7 or more runs in any game, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the following day. Do it between 4 and 6 to receive your Rockies taco special. Live Moss at Taco Bell. Hundley had a banner year swinging the bat against the Padres last year. Hit over 400 against him. Both his home runs have come down at Chase Field.
It's the revenge factor.
That seems to work. Look at
DJ
Mayhew's numbers against the Cubs. Cargo's numbers against Arizona.
Right. And for Nick, the numbers against San Diego in 10 games: 429, a home run, 4 RBIs, 15 for 35.
1 out. Nolan punched a single to right, and that's pulled foul. Nick stands 4th all time in Padre annals for games caught. Terry Kennedy. We just saw Terry Kennedy.
TK's scouting for the Cubs.
He's number 1 at 792. 14 more than Benito Santiago caught. And then former Rocky coach, old friend Freddie Kendall, father Jason, caught 688 games. And then Nick. 0-2.
Did Benito ever throw down to second base where he stood up and threw, or was everything from his knees?
No, because he had a 30-06 connected to his shoulder, so he just rolled up on his knees and let it go. And you better duck if you're the pitcher. I mean, you better get like flat on the ground, because the ball was only about 1.5 feet off the ground the whole way.
I think he's the first guy that I can remember ever doing that on a consistent basis.
1-2. This is the home of the 2016 All-Star Game.
71 days until the All-Star Game.
You must have passed one of those little digital.
I did. The countdown.
I know you didn't.
I didn't just pull that out. No.
Break out the hands.
But I did write it down in my book in case it did come up. 5 Ps, Drew.
I got you. You knew I was going to lead you there. That's inside. 2-2. So Nolan, who's at first, just going out on a limb, saying he'll be an All-Star this year again. Chance for his family just to drive down the 5 and see their son in another All-Star game. Two-two. 3-2. Nolan reading the dirt ball.
Did exactly.
He extended the secondary lead and then had to dig in the spikes and hustle back.
Did exactly what you're taught as a base runner. 3-2, 1 out. Nick up. Yeah, I'd put him in motion.
Nolan takes off and Nick lines it into the seats foul. Nice play.
That's why you bring your glove. Oh, yeah. And how about that? Gave it to a Rockies fan.
That's also the way it ought to work. Not necessarily just because it's a Rockies fan.
No, but just give it to the
boy,
kid.
little
Give
girl.
it to the kid.
Yeah. Nice job, sir. This will be beaming ear to ear. Another 3-2 on Hundley with 1 out. Wow. James Shields, you talk about deliberate.
Yeah.
Really slowed this game down. Nolan takes off, and that's inside. Ball 4. Good at bat for Hundley. And now the Rockies have 2 on for Ben Paulson. We haven't looked at the Padres defensively. Here's the official look. Travis Jankowski, great speed in left field. John Jay is at center. Matt Kemp is in right. Wallace and Ramirez on the left side. Jamal Weeks and Will Myers. Myers, a former center fielder. He's at first base. And Derek Norris doing the catching. For former A's in the lineup with Norris and Weeks. And this is pulled to second. It came up on Weeks. They'll still turn over. Second double play. Turned behind James Shields in 2 innings. 2-0 Padres.
Padres are up 2-0. You see John Gray. Thought about comparing John Gray to James Shields, and Drew and Jeff were talking about Shields and his durability in the top half of this inning. I'm going to call this 1st and 10. The first 10 starts in their careers. Shields debuted when he was 24. Gray is 24 now. You look at the numbers, the ERA a little bit higher for John Gray, but the strikeouts and the walks are pretty similar. Both big guys, 6'3", 6'4", 220 or so. And as you guys said, Shields has been pitching a long time. The Rockies can maybe hope that John Gray can follow in that path.
For almost every starting pitcher, no matter what they become, there is a significant learning curve early in their career. Jankowski takes outside. It's 2-0. I had this conversation with Clint Hurdle when the Pirates were in last week. I said, can you name a pitcher that you recall who came up and was dominant from Jump Street? And Clint, I'm missing a beat, he said only one. He said, I got to catch him a little bit. Dwight Gooden. When Gooden came by, you're talking about a guy, had he not had some of the issues off the field, I mean, would have been a Hall of Famer. I mean, his stuff was as good as we've seen the last 50 years. There's very few guys that just arrive and are dominant right away and remain dominant. It's fouled off 2-2. Fernando probably would fall into that category. But I'll give you a couple examples, and it's a great one that Mark utilized. I mean, James Shields had a fine career.
James Shields 34 now.
He's 34. Even Clayton Kershaw, who it may seem like was dominant from jump speed, a 4.26 ERA his first year. Max Scherzer, he went. Yes, he did. That's another strikeout, number 3. And that'll bring up Shields with 1 out here in the second. Max Scherzer, I mean, he didn't win for a long period of time. And they were like, well, what's wrong with Scherzer? He's got this great arm. he finally figured it out.
Greg Maddux. I mean, Maddux had a high ERA when he was first coming up with the Cubs. And you talk about Doc Gooden and Fernando. That was way in the 80s. I mean, that
long time
ago when we're trying to figure out guys that have come up and dominated.
Another guy I always point to, Roy Halladay. Roy Halladay, who put
go
together
back to A-ball.
He went all the way down to, I think it was the Gulf Coast League.
Yeah.
And then had to work his way back. He was in the big leagues. And he's had potentially a Hall of Fame, I mean, he's done now, potentially a Hall of Fame career.
Let's hope the rest of this game goes like the Dodger game went for John. I know he gave up the 3 runs against the Dodgers here. He gave up 2 runs in the first inning, but then settled down after that. Had a lot of strikeouts, kept his composure.
That slider moved a foot off the plate, 1-2. That's also part of it. And he's given up 5 runs in 3 first innings now. But what do you do after that? And he has another strikeout. 2 outs. That'll bring up John Jay. Here's our Office Liquidators Series storylines. Yeah, the Rockies, you don't say this much. Road Warriors, they've won 8 of their first 12 away from home. And then they have to overcome, we've said this so many times through the years, usually it's just California as a whole, but Southern California. Last year, you know, from about May on, the Rockies went 6-27. Couldn't win here, couldn't win at Dodger Stadium, and they were 0-2 in Anaheim. There's a strike on Jay, had a broken bat single to left in the first. Good curveball. Stuff-wise, he's got the slider tonight. He's shown 2 of the better curveballs he's thrown this year.
And the plus fastball. I mean, the pitcher's there. If you're grading him out, you have scouts sitting behind home plate. They're looking at him. They're grading his stuff out. How does it work on the major league scale? It's there. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the arm. We've seen the fastball this year up probably at least 2 miles an hour harder than last year.
Came in averaging 95.4 on his fastball, which if you're averaging close to 96, that's something. On the ground, Nolan had a chance at it. Story takes it on the backhand and throws across in plenty of time to get Jay. Very good inning in the second for John Gray. 2-0 Padres off to the third. On Root Sports is brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. By American Family Insurance, insure carefully, dream fearlessly. And by the Lodge Casino, pitching up a perfect game for cash every Friday and Saturday. Lodge Casino, your first choice for fun. First to 3 in San Diego. And DJ LeMahieu in the third will lead off against James Shields. And DJ takes a strike. LeMahieu 5 for 18 lifetime against Shields. Outside 1-1. DJ has swung the bat well against the Padres in his career, .324 average. In fact, he swung it well here at Petco, where few people do. He's hit .306 at Petco. 2-1. He's the only Rocky who has an average above 300 with significant number of at-bats at Petco. Nolan's hit .273 here, Cargo .250, Charlie .250. You guys just don't hit here, well, typically.
Typically, this year the numbers are slightly higher, and even going back to last year, it helps that they move those fences in. But the ball's just carrying different here than it has in previous years.
2-2, and that ball is ripped to left field. Long run for Jankowski. He was over in left center field, but he'll still hold DJ to a single. So for the second straight inning, the Rockies have the leadoff man on, a bunting situation for Jon Gray. So to further embellish what you're talking about, think about this. Home ERA, the Padres ERA at home, 3 times in the last decade they've had the lowest home ERA in Major League Baseball. The worst they've been is 9th in 2012. Last year they were 17th, and this year, to your point, 27th out of 30 teams. This is Petco. What's going on?
Right. Who would have thought you would have been talking about Petco with the 27th in the Major League Baseball with the .534 ERA. Even last year at .376, 17th. Whenever you talk about the Padres, you always think, oh, their bullpen and their pitching staff in general and where it ranks. But now it comes back to, you know, when the fences were moved in.
2-0. Shields not throwing a strike right now, and Gray looking down at Stu Cole. Bunham sure will still be on, but it's also equating to runs combined per game. Last year, 2 runs better than the previous year. That's combined runs. I mean, it was always a 2-1, 3-2 kind of game. Last year, 8.2, and this year, better than 9 runs combined per game. And the new scoreboard, there's a new building, condos beyond the left field wall, and they say it's changed the jet stream a little bit.
Kind of blocking some of the wind that's coming off the ocean. Scoreboard looks nice. The new one they had after replacing the old one that was here forever. The original one.
And Gray too fine with that bunt. This is a spot we always talk about. Walt really likes a slug bunt here because if you foul it off, you're swinging and you're not, you know, a strikeout victim. And there it is. That's it exactly. And he
makes sense.
Yeah, he attempted to bunt that.
Well, and it makes sense.
You're out.
Not only because of the bunt attempt, but also where the second baseman is playing. I mean, Weeks had come all the way towards first base, even with the baseline, and he'll start at double play depth, but then he starts to creep once he sees the bat come around, where he's going over more towards the bag, so it's going to open some area up. Doesn't matter, but you stay out of just that fouling the bunt off for a strikeout. At least give yourself that option.
One out. That'll bring up Charlie Blackmon. Rockies fans, join in on the conversation. Send us your comments. Use your favorite social media platform and include the hashtag Toyota Talk. We'll show many of your Toyota Talk comments throughout the ball game. Charlie rolled one over to Jamal Weeks leading off the ball game. Nearly hit a home run leading off the game also. He pulled one into the seats and it was fouled by about 3 or 4 feet. DJ, an excellent base stealer. He steals bags, but he steals them at a really high percentage. Last year, 23 out of 26. Two and 0.
Yeah, if you're going to be a guy that steals some bases, you have to be over 75%. Otherwise, it does you no good. You're just running into outs. I mean, even at 70%, that's not what you're looking for.
DJ takes off there, swung on and missed, and Norris's throw is not going to get him. He went Benito Santiago.
I saw that too, but he doesn't have the arm strength of Benito because this ball one hop Alexi Ramirez. Make it now 5 of 6 for DJ stealing bases. The throw from Derek Norris drops to his knee. It takes a lot of arm strength, but then the slide at second base. Watch DJ go out and around, get that foot in there before the tag is applied on the knee.
Creative slide. Charlie gets tied up inside on a cutter. It's 2 and 2. Padres got 2 runs in the first. First 3 hitters, single, 2-run double Matt Kemp against John Gray. And this is on the ground to Weeks. 2 outs. Crossing to third is LeMahieu, and that'll bring up Trevor Story, who had a bunt single in the first inning. Story seeing almost 4.5 pitches per at bat, which is 5th most per plate appearance, 5th most in the National League. And this is hit hard, but it's right at Weeks, who is positioned there. And the Rockies will leave LeMahieu at third, middle of 3. Padres 2, Rockies 0. Third, Will Myers, Matt Kemp, Brett Wallace, 2, 3, and 4 for Andy Green and the Padres. Coors Light Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean, Crisp Coors Light. Padres are going to Toronto. I couldn't believe this when I saw this earlier. For the first time ever, it's the last big league matchup in American League, National League play to occur. Every other combination has taken place, home and road. But Toronto has never hosted the Padres. Do you know one that's taken place only once from the Rockies' perspective? Will Myers takes curveball inside 1-1. The Rockies were in Tampa, it was about 10, 12 years ago. They have not been back since.
Tampa's been to Colorado 2 or 3 times.
Yep. And Tampa will come this year.
Yeah, coming again this year.
This is fouled off. And then there's some American League cities it seems like we go to every other year. Like Camden Yards, I'm excited about going back there this year. The Rockies have played there several times. Played in Boston, played in Yankee Stadium, and the places they're going again this year. Played the Angels on the road. Seems like a bunch. This ball lined toward Blackman in center. Charlie's got it.
Quick jump for Charlie after that baseball.
So that'll bring up Kemp. Matt had one of the hits yesterday against Kershaw, and he gave up 4. And he had a big hit in the first inning tonight on a slider. Left out over the plate. He pulled it past Nolan to drive in 2 runs. And got him to chase that fastball away. It's 0-2. Kemp has driven in 135 runs against the Rockies in his career. Only Luis Gonzalez with 139 and Barry Bonds with 141 drove in more. And Kemp is gone on 3 pitches. So John Gray settled in since that rough first inning where the first 4 guys reached. And he has 5 strikeouts here in 2 2/3.
And retired the last 8 straight. Slider, then fastball, fastball. Second slider was down in the Subaru strike zone. The third pitch, the second fastball was up. 25 in the first, then really settled down in the second. And keep it under 10 here would be nice in the third.
Brett Wallace takes ball 1.
We're talking about back-to-back years in the Pac-12. And that's tough to do. It's like the SEC in baseball and those powerhouse conferences to have it back-to-back years. That's
he won 2 Triple Crowns.
I know.
Back-to-back years when he was the MVP of the conference. Hit for the highest average, most home runs, most RBIs. Just inside. 2 balls and a strike. This is going to stay up for Charlie. Nice sliding catch, and that helps turn it into a 1-2-3 inning. And that's 9 in a row set down by John Gray. Cargo's going to lead it off for the Rockies. They trail 2-0 as we go to the 4th. They are indeed, as Cargo leads off here in the 4th inning. Cargo hit into a double play his first time up. Got a dose of off-speed pitches, 3 changeups, and now Shields starts him out with a strike with a curveball. 3 hits for the Padres, 3 hits for the Rockies. See the alignment for Cargo. He sees that virtually every at bat. And the interesting thing is that he has more hits to left field this year than he does to right field.
Kind of taking what the other team gives you.
Basically,
he'll hit his home runs.
Oh, absolutely.
But right now they're pitching him more away than they are coming inside.
Shields basically saying, I'm not going to throw you a fastball. He's thrown him 6 pitches. That was a changeup. All off-speed pitches. And if this stays fair, it's going to. Another hit to the left side.
They don't say how or how hard.
What a bullet by Gonzalez.
Or how many.
He'll take it.
That's all you can do is you can laugh about it. And you're never going to apologize for a hit at the major league level. I don't care what it looks like. I mean, this has some serious English on it. Stays inside the bag.
So the Rockies, for the 3rd straight inning, have a leadoff single. Now Nolan's up. He had a leadoff single in the 2nd. Armako big hit from yesterday in Arizona. They tried to beat him in. When are they going to learn? Nolan pulls it down the left field line into the bullpen for a home run. His major league leading 11. He was tied for the National League lead last year with Bryce Harper with 42. Nobody's hit more home runs than Nolan since the start of 2015. They're the home run leaders in the big leagues. Trevor's 2nd. Josh Donaldson of Toronto with 9. Harper 9. Neil Walker of the Mets now 9. Here's the 2-0. I wonder when some of these guys just sit soft.
Maybe this at bat. Because that is the pitch that he has the most confidence in throwing here in the 4th inning. And we've seen it time and time and time again. The changeup from Shields.
3-1.
Well, if he threw it 2-0, kind of the book is it'll throw it 3-1. That's the thinking of a pitcher. So he threw the changeup 2-0, changeup 3-1.
And that is a base hit to center field. So Nolan's 2 for 2. Cargo stops at 2nd, and the Rockies have the first 2 on here in the 4th inning, with Gerardo Parra coming up.
Nolan, he just keeps going on that 6-game hitting streak.
And this is what he threw coming in. 43% fastball, right about 90. A lot of the cutter. And 21% changeup. Tonight, it seems like he's throwing 60% changeups. According to our pitch count, it's 53% fastball and off speed, which would be that is the changeup. And so it's 40%. It seems even more dramatic than that.
2 times what he does.
And this is what I was going to say. You don't want to see happen. That's a double play. I thought Parra, you're showing that graphic, I thought Parra made bunt.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
That's the 3rd double play turned by San Diego. I really thought with his in that situation down 2-0, and Parra can lay down bunts. You have Brett Wallace, who's a thicker guy at 3rd.
And a pitcher that's throwing down and away from left-handers. We've seen a Cargo rolled into one earlier in this game, not a double play, but then Ben Paulson did, or excuse me, Cargo did back in the 1st, and then Ben in the 2nd.
They're going to, I think they're going to look at it.
They are going to look at it.
I don't know why Todd Tishner's coming down the line. He's a third base umpire. It's going to be the first base umpire, and Bill Miller. Bill is the crew chief.
Immediately, EY and Gerardo, they just stopped at the bag and said, take a look at it. Hard to see where his foot is from that angle. It gets blocked.
Let's see if this angle.
Looks like foot on the bag, ball in the glove.
So you know there's nothing in the rule book, despite what you've been saying since you were 6 years old, that says tie goes to the runner.
Yeah, that's not in the rule book. And it goes back to that terminology. There has to be definitive evidence to overturn the call.
They won't overturn it. It's a 4-6-3 double play. So Walt will lose his challenge through the first 6 innings. Cargo at third, 2 outs, and see if Hundley can come through. Nick walked in the second inning. That's off the plate. And 2-0.
The one number that is higher for James Shields this year with runners in scoring position, hitting over 300 against them.
Nick got a fastball up in the zone, fouled it straight back. 2 balls and a strike. Hit .301 for the Rockies last year in his first season in Denver. Big opening up the middle. Ramirez is swung over in the hole. And this is line toward the gap, and it's going to touch down over the head of Kemp. It'll bring home a run. And Nick Hundley comes through with 2 outs. And it's a 2-1 ball game for Nick, his 7th RBI. Told you earlier, he wears out the Padres, his old team.
Talk about going with a pitch. I mean, Nick drives it over the head of Matt Kemp in right field. 3rd double of the season for Nick.
So that'll bring up Ben Paulson, who has a high rate of RBIs to plate appearances. He bounces up there 1-0. Ben hit into a 4-6-3 double play his first time up, but he's driven in 10 runs this year and right around 40 at bats.
7 for 13 with runners in scoring position. So it's, I mean, he's one of those money guys. Is he can sniff it. So when that RBI's out there, said it's mine.
He's actually up to 51 at bats right now, but you get the point. I mean, he has been clutch. Walt was talking about him before the ball game as an under the radar guy that just gives you good at bats, whether it's coming off the bench or starting. And he starts about half the time. Reynolds starts the other portion of the time at first base. Nick, he does like playing against the Padres. Strike 3, feeling a 65-mile-an-hour curveball to end the inning. But the Rockies get on the scoreboard. Cargo, a leadoff single, would come around on a 2-out double by Nick Hundley. It's 2-1, middle of 4. A chance to interact with some very special guests on Tuesdays, and tomorrow we have another Toyota Takeover, Toyota Talk Takeover in honor of Mother's Day coming up next Sunday. Nolan Arenado's mom, Millie, will join us. She'll take control of our Twitter account. So make sure you tune in. Tweet your questions for Millie at @rootsports_RM during tomorrow's game against the Padres. Alexi Ramirez struck out on a backup slider his first time. 5 strikeouts for John Gray. He's retired 9 in a row, and he gets a wave at that slider. It's 1-1. First 4 hitters reached against Gray. Broken bat single by Jay to left. Broken bat single to right by Myers. Matt Kemp sharp double on the ground down the third base line. And then he lost Brett Wallace, walked him. Since then, he's retired 9 in a row. It's 2-1 San Diego. And that fastball's popped up shallow right. DJ with an angle makes a basket catch. Well done. And he'll get a arm around the back from Cargo.
I thought it might be a trio of guys going after it, and then you have the whole mess. They run into each other. Because you can see Cargo flying in, but DJ calls him at the last second, calls for the baseball, and Cargo peels off. That's knowing the range of your second baseman as an outfielder. And DJ has one of the highest ranges going when he can go that far and make the play.
Heck of a play. Derek Norris struck out looking his first time on a fastball, and that is a vicious curveball. I'm with you, Huey. He's thrown 3 of the best curveballs he's ever thrown in competition.
And it doesn't matter, that was a first pitch curveball. That wasn't just the get me over curveball. That had downward tumbling action.
That had a lot of bite on it. And then the slider. I mean, he has great stuff tonight.
I just like the way he's rebounded after that first inning. I mean, that takes some moxie to be able to do that. We saw at the Dodgers where they hit a home run and then a triple and another home run. He's down 3-0, 4 batters into the game. Tonight, down 2 runs after the first, and then he settled down.
And a slider probably mislocated a little bit, but it was in the strike zone, and Norris has to go away again. Second time he's been caught looking. 6 strikeouts for John Gray.
And quick, too. It's not 3-2 strikeouts. They're coming after him. He gets him 0-2, and he's putting him away, or 1-2. It was at the top of the Subaru strike zone. It just appeared higher than that, but it wasn't. It was in there.
Jamal Weeks lined out to Cargo his first time, tries to lay down a bunt, and it's 0-1. You can't teach arm talent, and
No.
John Gray has tremendous arm talent.
It's kind of like you can't teach bat speed. I mean, there's certain things you're just given at birth, and it's one of them is the arm strength and arm speed and bat speed.
You can get better. You can improve arm speed. You can improve bat speed. But the elite arm speed that this kid has,
right?
The elite bat speed that Cargo has.
Yeah, some guys just have more talent, more of that speed in their body than other guys.
Moving that fastball around, he gets a foul ball up in the zone to Weeks. Rockies have out-hit the Padres 6-3. They trail 2-1 here, bottom of the fourth. Here's the 1-2. See you later. Boy, did he eat him up with that slider.
Almost hit him.
Yeah, you want to talk about an awkward swing. 7 strikeouts for John Gray. He's retired 12 in a row. Let's get John Gray some runs now.
Fifth, Rockies down 2-1. They just manufactured a run in their last time at bat, and you know they were 84 on the road. They've hit a little bit better on the road, certainly better than last year. And I had to ask Blake Doyle about what his team is doing this year away from Coors Field.
No, there's nothing stressed. We have more athletic personnel. That's a huge difference. Although we're still doing the long ball, we're also moving guys along. Guys are stealing bases. Guys are taking the extra base. They're challenging, and we're more athletic. And when you're more athletic, that brings excitement in the dugout.
And there's DJ with a single to lead off this inning. And I think Huey could talk about that. You know, more athletic, and that gives you a different dynamic to your at-bat, especially when things are in motion, right?
Well, they do, Mark. If you're talking about maybe a guy who'll steal the base, that your awareness in the box is more acute. So you're thinking, well, if he takes off, I'm going to make sure that I swing at a particular pitch, or if it's a hit and run, you're not thinking, well, is he going to throw me a slider, a fastball, changeup? All you're thinking of is I need to get on top of this ball and hit it hard on the ground somewhere, preferably the opposite way. So, I mean, when you're athletic like that, your mindset is different in the box.
Same situation as 2 innings ago. DJ a leadoff single. John Gray trying to get a bunt down. Rockies with 7 hits, 6 singles, and the RBI double by Nick Hundley.
Now, John, help yourself out. Get this bunt down.
Well, 4 straight innings now. The Rockies have had the leadoff man on, but they have just 1 run in the game. 1-1 on Gray. DJ would end up stealing second after Gray struck out his first time, and now he's behind 1-2. Too much body movement there, wasn't it, Huey?
Yeah, just trying to push it instead of getting it set out there. And much like when you just catch a baseball, catch the ball on your bat. Don't try to punch at it. Just sort of square around, set the bat at the top of the zone, get your eyes down level with it, and then just let the ball come to you.
And he fouls that off. That's a strikeout. So once again, John unable to help himself out. That'll bring up Blackman, who's twice hit it on the ground to Jamal Weeks.
Well, fans' mini plan started just 8 games and $111 guaranteed the Yankees and summer fireworks games with the 15-game pick-a plan.
James Shields is moving his defense around. Pointed to John Jay. He wanted him to move toward right. And the same thing for Jankowski, who's out there in left field.
And only a veteran pitcher can do that.
Usually comes from the bench, doesn't it?
Yes, especially in, we've noticed in the last 2 or 3 years with the shifts, and
yeah,
it comes from the usually the infield guy will do the infield, the outfield coach will do the outfield, but they're working in tandem.
DJ 5 out of 6 swiping bases. This third time through, I think, will be interesting because all night, and it's not really unusual for Shields, but he's really pitched backwards tonight, maybe even more so than normal. See how the Rockies adjust third time through the lineup. And that's outside 2-0. After that first inning, the Rockies are getting a high quality start now from John Gray.
12 straight retired for John. Get him a couple runs.
2-1.
Let's see why Charlie looked back at Bill Miller. A third pitch called the strike on the Subaru strike zone. And that's a good 3 or 4 inches off the plate.
Three and 1. That was closer, obviously, to being a strike. They heard some people behind home plate grumbling. They didn't grumble on the previous pitch, though, did they?
I think I just block off the inner portion of the plate. If I'm Charlie, just sit away, try to hit it to left field.
3-2. I think Charlie thought that was off the plate also. Got such a good eye. It's not easy calling balls and strikes. You're talking about pitches that shave corners, come close to shaving corners. 3-2. DJ's off, and it's fouled off.
I know people will say, well, you know, just expand the zone. Just you're trained so much in your life to understand the strike zone. I mean, from the time we could start to get into this game, you have to know your own strike zone.
Yeah, and plus 3-1, down a run. DJ's trying to get on base. You're putting it in a small pillbox, and that certainly wasn't in it. DJ takes off, and again, the pitch is fouled straight back.
Well, the last 2 times with DJ running, and I know Charlie has seen this too, as the shortstop has broke to the bag. So There's been an area out there. Now they might switch it up if he comes inside with the cut fastball or tries to work the changeup away, but Charlie still looking to hit it to left field.
DJ adjusts his gloves. EY came over to advise him on something. Third straight 3-2 pitch to Blackman. 1 out. Rockies down a run. And this is going to be a ground ball to short, and the only play was to get Blackman at first because of the fact that LeMahieu was in motion, so he's in scoring position for Story.
It's a veteran move by Alexi Ramirez. A younger shortstop would have just turned it and run towards second base with that runner going, but Alexi just shifted and shuffled his feet and didn't get all the way over there. I think that's a big mistake with some young infielders, that they'll just start busting it towards the bag, but they forget that that ball might still be put in play, not Alexi.
You got it in play where you wanted him to.
Yeah, just not, but it was because of what Alexi did more than what, you know, Charlie did his thing, but Alexi also did his.
Story a bunt single and then a sharp ground ball up the middle, but that's where Weeks is playing, and that's outside. So Trevor, chance to tie up the game here with 2 outs in the 5th inning. Rockies have had opportunities. Last inning, Nick Hundley came through with 2 outs, doubling over the head of Matt Kemp to drive home Cargo, who had singled. DJ the tying run at second. 3 double plays turned tonight by the Padres. One and one on the National League Rookie of the Month, Trevor Story.
No, we didn't get the final numbers. It had to have been unanimous. I mean, there was.
You would think. I'd like to know the rationale for somebody
well, that's
not
what
to
I'm
vote
thinking.
for. And that's in there. When the fastball shows up, it's almost like a surprise.
It's 89. But after the changeups and the cutters, 89, it shows up at 95.
One, two. Change up, 2-2. Were there change-ups, Huey, that you could pick up with some guys, and if so, how?
The way you could pick them up is if they slowed their arm or their body down. But if they didn't and they threw it the same with the same arm action, you couldn't pick it up. And that's what makes changeups so effective. Freddie Garcia had, you knew he was going to throw it, but his arm action was the same, and it just didn't, it never got there. Trevor Hoffman.
And that's in the dirt, 3-2.
But the guys that it appeared that they were pushing the ball at the home plate, those are the ones you just ate up. You just wait back and say, oh yeah, I see that.
Three-two. Outside, ball 4. So Story will go to first. 2 on for Cargo.
Carlos with the base hit down the third base line is not unusual, because he has been taking his pitches even outside and hitting them the other way. These are the hits in the strike zone. But you see the ones we've highlighted in purple. How about this? Last year, 262 on outside pitches. This year, 485.
We counted up. He has 9 hits this year. That's ball 1. He has 9 hits this year on pitches that weren't even strikes.
And the 10th one maybe like half and half. Sometimes it's called a strike, sometimes it's not, the one that's just inside. But it tells you that for Cargo, how his swing and his mechanics and everything is working on time now.
1-0 on Cargo. 2 outs, 2 on. Held up. 2-0. And now Cargo in a fastball count with a guy that will not throw him a fastball. Sit on the changeup.
Sit on the changeup. The way if you're going to bet the house, it's right now.
Runner takes off. LeMahieu out at third base. Wow. Not how you wanted to see the inning end.
Not a smart play with Cargo up.
With a 2-0 count, no less, trying to catch him by surprise. And Norris had an open side. And he threw a perfect strike to Brett Wallace. Shields says thank you. Two to 1 ball game still as Travis Jankowski in the bottom of the 5th will lead off against John Gray. Jankowski, Shields, and then John Jay. 12 in a row set down by Gray. There's the 1-0 to Jankowski, and it's bounced past Tarek Brock at first, the first base coach for the Padres.
John Gray, 25 pitches in the first inning, 14 in the second, 11 in the third, 10 in the fourth.
That pitch also was ball 3.
And it was a changeup.
Another awkward swing, 2-2. Strikeout again. That's 3 in a row for John Gray, and that's number 8 on the evening.
You have to honor the slider inside, or I'll throw the fastball away. And Travis Jankowski did not take a good swing for the second strike, and now he's trying to argue that that wasn't a strike. But that's the advantage of having 2 powerful pitches.
Here's Shields. Fastball up and in, ball 1. Padres 4-8 at home. 5-10 against the West. 2-0. That's outside. 3-0.
Just set up right down the middle for the next 3 pitches.
That had a lot of run on it. Almost ran out of the zone. 3-1. That's right down the middle. 3-2. And he comes all the way back to strike him out. That's 9 strikeouts. And the Padres have a streak going of 10+ strikeouts, 7 straight games. If they go to 8 straight games, they'll match their own record, which is the longest since 1920.
The next Fan Friday is May 13th, and the first 20,000 fans will receive a Fan Friday tote bag courtesy of MLB Network.
And a strike on John Jay at 95. The Padres have struck out at least 10 times in 7 straight games, 9 tonight. 2011, they had a stretch of 8 games in a row. Did he go? Nope. 1-1. The Rockies last year had a stretch where they went 7 straight games where they struck out at least 10 times in a game. 9 strikeouts here with 2 outs in the 5th. 14 in a row set down by Gray. Curveball outside.
Sometimes you worry about the high pitch count, but for John, he has 73 pitches.
And he had the high pitch count in the first inning. Since then, it's been quick. A lot of his strikeouts have been 3-pitch strikeouts. And Jay tardy on the swing. It's 2-2. And Jay struck out 4 times yesterday against Clayton Kershaw. It's almost unfair as a left-handed bat trying to face Kershaw. It's unfair for righties most nights. He's gone. That's 10 strikeouts. They've tied their own record from 2011. What a performance by John Gray. 10 punch-outs in 5 innings. He set down 15 in a row. 2-1 Padres. Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Cargo's going to lead off here. Azuma's at bat in the top of the 6th inning. The Rockies have had several opportunities. They have only one run. They've had traffic in every inning. John Gray just tied a club record. He has struck out 5 in a row. It's the 11th time it's happened in Rockies history. The last guy to do it was Jason Marquis in 2009. 10 strikeouts for Gray in 5 innings. He did that against the Dodgers in his first start of the year. And now Cargo is behind 0-2. Still hasn't seen a fastball. So the Rockies ran themselves out of last inning inexplicably, and they've grounded into 3 double plays.
They've had the leadoff batter on every inning except for the first. And now here in the 6th.
65-mile-an-hour curveball, and Cargo's gone. That'll bring up Nolan. Nolan's 2 for 2. And this ball is topped to short. And Ramirez throws low. Good pickup by Myers. 2 outs. One of the interesting things about this outing by Shields, the Rockies have produced 7 hits, but everything's been on the ground for the most part. And the reason that's interesting is he had a 41% ground ball rate, Shields did, coming in, which is one of the lowest of his career. And yet tonight he's getting that high ground ball rate.
Every out except for, I mean, you take the strikeouts away, every out has been on the ground.
Yeah, the outfielders can go pick dandelions. Gerardo Parra, he grounded into a double play with 1st and 2nd and nobody out in the 4th.
And the only time the outfielder was involved when Matt Kemp had to go pick the ball up off the wall from the Nick Hundley double.
One and one on Gerardo. Starters in that series in Arizona gave up only 3 runs. They had a 1.56 ERA. And the Pen gave up only 2 runs in 9 2/3. That was a 2-run home run Drury hit against Estevez. And Carlos came back nicely after that, and then the next day, hard on the ground past Brett Wallace. That'll be a base hit. So with 2 outs, the Rockies' RBI man, Nick Hundley, will come up. And officially now it's a base hit.
Brett was playing in close and it was shot by him. Yeah, but for James Shields, 5 strikeouts. He has that caught stealing and 11 ground ball outs.
Kemp's backed up a couple of steps in right field after Hundley went over his head. And Nick takes a pitch on the inside corner for a strike.
With that base hit by Parra, it extends his hitting streak to 8 games.
Gerardo can run. He draws a throw from Shields. See the pitch count, 95. With James Shields, I don't even pay attention to it because he is one of those guys that's allowed to go 115, 120 pitches.
Three starts ago against Arizona, 105. 2 starts ago against Pittsburgh, 104. But he has the prerogative too to tell the manager, no, I'm good. I can stay out here. I can keep going.
Ball and a strike on Hundley. Walk and an RBI double tonight for Nick. 8 hits for the Rockies, just 3 for the Padres. 15 in a row retired by Jon Gray, 10 by strikeout. I'd say that's pretty dominant.
Real dominant, because you've seen some bad swings.
And this is bounced through the right side. A base hit. Parra is going to go first to third. And the Rockies with 2 outs. Another opportunity. Stu Cole greeting Parra. And Ben Paulson will come up.
2 base hits and a walk for Nick Hundley tonight. Both of the base hits, the opposite field variety. And this was a seeing eye base hit. 3/4 swing. Just chops it through the hole between first and second.
So Ben Paulson 0 for 2 so far. A chance to tie it up. Hitting .359 over his last 15 ball games. Top of the 6th inning. Here Bill Miller say nope, outside.
Always appreciated that as a hitter.
One ball, 1 strike. Gonzalez-Germain is throwing. That's in case this gets to Jon Gray. John's only thrown 75 pitches, but the Rockies trailing by a run. They won't be trailing if it gets to Gray. This ball's in the air to center field. Pretty well hit. Going back to the track and making the catch is Jay. So once again, the Rockies have traffic but cannot get the equalizer. Pitching performance. Well, Jon Gray gave up a double to drive in 2 in the 1st inning to Matt Kemp. First 4 hitters of the game reached against Gray. Since then, nobody's reached. 15 straight set down, 10 by strikeout. But unfortunately, the Rockies trailing 2-1. Will Myers, Kemp, and Wallace here in the 6th. And the breaking ball is fouled off by Myers. A single. Broken bat single to right, and line out to center field tonight for Myers.
Right now, it doesn't even look like John Gray has worked up a sweat. I mean, he's just good, grabbing the baseball, back on the hill, and said, let's go.
Trying to get his first big league victory. Cargo barely has to move in right. 16 in a row set down.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is now available. Join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices.
Kemp, the double you just saw, and also a strikeout on 3 pitches. Pulls that fastball outside, 1-0. And a base hit, and that ends the run for John Gray. It's 16 in a row. A 1-out single for Kemp. Off the top of my head, that's the best I think we've seen this year. 16 straight.
Yes. And 10 strikeouts of those 16.
Well, I mean, the team record's 19, so it's got to be the best we've seen. Jason Marquis retired 19 in a row against the Dodgers in 2009 at Dodger Stadium. And Brett Wallace, foul tip, it's 0-1.
Still dialing 95.
There's some scouts that, you know, they're going to take radar gun readings, usually with amateur players early in a game, but then they want to know 50, 60, 70 pitches in, what are the readings? Are they able to maintain that? And some organizations believe that's the true, you know, when they say he pitches at a certain, they want to know in the middle of the game, what's he pitching at there?
And
not that
also,
he touched, say, 94 in the first inning, now
right,
he's throwing 88 in the 4th or 5th inning.
but it also determines what type of pitcher you can be. If you can't sustain it, then maybe you have to move to the bullpen. But if you can do that, keep it going into the 6th or 7th inning, it says, oh, he can be a starter.
That's why they look for broad shouldered, especially righties. Big, strong guys like John Gray. He's a prototype. 6'4" and 235, 240 pounds. 0-2 on Wallace. They want the fastball up. That wasn't up. 1-2.
John reminding himself to make sure to keep that left shoulder closed. Just flew open on that pitch, held onto the baseball a little too long.
Three on the right side for Wallace. Curveball's low. 2-2. Quick shout out to Brandon Barnes. So professional, he's gone down to Albuquerque. Albuquerque got beat today, but Barnes threw out an RBI double. He's hitting .538.
3 for 4 in his first game back for the Isotopes.
2-2 slider. See you later. 2 outs. 11 strikeouts. A new career high for John Gray.
Gets him with, well, that's a curveball. It just went down.
What it was unhittable.
Yes, indeed.
Alexi Ramirez a strikeout and a pop out. DJ made a nice running catch down the right field line on that pop out. See how Walt handles it. The Rockies down a run. John's scheduled to hit second next inning. This very well could be the end of the line for Gray.
I think what you're hoping for is DJ reaches base and give him the chance to bunt him over, keep him in the game to get the win.
I'm sure John wants that opportunity after failing to do it the first 2 times. That's a strike also at 96, so he's still working in the mid-90s. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Struck Alexi out in the first inning on a slider. Looked foolish on it.
'97, 2-2. Camp conservative lead at first, and this is rolled up the middle. Easy play for Story, off to DJ, and that is all for the Padres in the 6th. Camp ended a run of 16 in a row set down by John Gray with a 1-out single. 2-1 Padres. Well, John Gray getting handshakes, Jetty, when he went back to the dugout. What a performance by John, but he's trailing 2-1. 11 strikeouts for John Gray, and he retired 18 of the last 19 he faced, 16 in a row at one point. 89 pitches through 6 innings, and he threw well over 20 in that first frame. Chad Bettis giving him a hug and a couple pats on the chest. He was outstanding. Ryan Buchter takes over. Ryan Buchter's been outstanding out of the Padre bullpen. It's been a much maligned Padre bullpen, but his numbers have been terrific.
.79 ERA. That's 6th best among National League relievers. Opponents hitting 162 against Ryan. Kind of a sneaky guy on the hill, and Adam Rosales comes in for defense for Brett Wallace at third base.
And DJ, who's 2 for 2, fouls that off. Shields goes 6 innings, a run on 9 hits, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. So the Rockies had 10 base runners, but have only 1 run.
John followed up what the starters did in Arizona between Tyler and Chris Russin, and Chad Bettis.
Absolutely did. His Padre bullpen, Buchter, we said his numbers are great, but the Padre bullpen has not been good. 5.56 ERA, second last in Major League Baseball, and a called strike on the inside corner.
See the frustration for DJ just watching a moment ago on the Subaru strike zone. It's like, really? I mean, it didn't even catch part of it.
So Ryan Rayburn's going to pinch hit here for Gray. Rayburn hitting .400 against lefties, including 3 home runs. The largest reason the Rockies went out and signed him. He's also 8 for his last 19 at the plate.
3 for 8 pinch hitting with a pinch hit home run.
Very good giddy up from Buchter. 93. It's 0-2. Only been scored upon in 1 game this year. One out. Here's the 1-2. Rockies have had base runners in every inning. That was against James Shields, and they had multiple base runners in 4 of the 6 innings, but they have only 1 run.
Well, hit into 3 double plays, and then that caught stealing in the 5th inning. That one hurt too.
Yeah, there are a couple of situations. DJ on a 2-0 pitch, which turned out to be a 3-0 pitch, with Cargo at the plate, took off for third, and he was thrown out. DJ may be the smartest base runner the Rockies have.
Just allowed an open throwing lane for Derek Norris.
And then the other at bat, I think, Gerardo Parra has been swinging the bat great. First and second, you have Brett Wallace at third, and it's easy to Monday morning quarterback these things, but you just figured because he does it so well that Parra may lay down a bunt there where there's very little downside.
And when you kind of feel like runs might be a premium.
Yeah, unfortunately, he hit the ball right at Jamal Weeks and turned it into a 4-6-3 double play, one of those 3 DPs that Jeff was talking about. And that's inside. Rayburn, behind 0-2, earns a trip to first with 1 out. Here we go again. The Rockies have a base runner, and Charlie Blackmon coming up. The day after every Rockies victory, get 50% off your online order at Papa John's. Use the promo code ROCKSWIN at papajohns.com. So Charlie will face the left-hander here, Buchter. In his return to the lineup on Friday, he faced Robbie Ray, and he was 2 for 3 against Robbie Ray, who is another similar guy to Buchter, guy with a good left arm, throws in the low to mid 90s. sometimes some of the thought process is removed when you face one of these guys versus Shields, who's,
because,
you know, the changeup, the 65-mile-an-hour curveball.
Because you know you're going to get just a straight fastball. If there is an off-speed pitch, it's only going to be once during your at-bat.
And Charlie takes another strike, 0-2. They didn't like that call, but looks like it was at the knees.
For Buchter, he has one of the highest spin rates, top quarter in the league. 2,338 RPMs.
What that means with the research done, guys with a higher spin rate generally with their fastball get some more swings and misses with guys, and they may throw the same speed. You say, well, how can that be? How can a 93-mile-an-hour fastball have a higher spin rate than another 93-mile-an-hour fastball? A lot of it has to do with, and talking to pitching coaches say this, is how the ball comes out of the end, like the hand whip at the end of the delivery.
Yeah, and if you're wondering what the major league average is, 2,245. So John Gray's is above the major league average.
0-2. But with the early research, the guys with the higher spin rate seem to have a higher swing and miss percentage.
Because it means there's late life on the ball.
Yep. Ball maintains its plane longer.
Right. You know, gravity doesn't affect it. It's not rising, just gravity just doesn't take it down as quickly.
Rayburn will draw a throw. Ryan been nursing a quad that's been able to heal up on him. Rayburn's an average runner, though.
But also, remember, he was hitting the foot down in Arizona, too.
That's right.
As that. So quad and a foot.
Two balls, two strikes on Charlie. Story's on deck. Foul tips held. A strikeout of Blackman. Second out in the 7th inning for Ryan Buchter. And here comes a real good fastball hitter in Trevor Story. Trevor takes a strike. Story has 3 home runs against the Padres this year in the series in Denver. Tonight, a bunt single, a ground ball to second, and a walk. Been locked in at 2-1 since the 4th. And strike 2. I don't know if guys just aren't picking him up.
Yeah, I don't think they are, just because of the way they're taking the ball. It's not tracking all the way into the glove. Buchter also hides the ball well behind him and then swings that leg out. And so you're trying to figure out where that window is. So he brings that leg up, swings it around, and then drops his hand right behind his left leg. So you never get the opportunity. Sometimes pitchers will bring it behind their body so you can pick it up there and then kind of get the timing when it comes up and he's ready to show it to you. But for Buchter, that's not the case. Just watch where he drops that left arm right behind his leg as he starts to come to the plate. Right there. So you never see it until it's the ball appears to be on you before you can even react. Right now, you're trying to figure out where's it coming from. You see how hidden it is? Still hidden, and then it explodes on you.
It's a great visual of it. That's what the angle Trevor Story's looking at. 2-2, Rayburn at first. 3-2. You get the benefit of Rayburn moving here. Fargo hoping for an opportunity.
But because it's a right-handed hitter, they're going to keep Will Myers on the bag. They're not going to play behind, so he's going to have to wait an extra beat before he takes off.
Story had a lot of loft in that swing.
He has natural loft in his swing in general.
Yep. Another 3-2. Booker ends up striking out the side, and we'll go to the bottom of the 7th. It remains 2-1 San Diego. It'll be no decision for John, or excuse me, no win for John Gray. Some great shots from the Subaru Supermo this evening, and many of them featuring John Gray, who struck out a career-high 11. Unfortunately for John, he's on the wrong end of things, as it's been 2-1 since the 4th inning. He gave up 2 runs within the first 3 batters of the game. After that, he completely, and I mean completely, shut down the Padres, retiring 16 in a row at one point, 18 of the final 19 he faced, 89 pitches tonight for John Gray in his best big league performance. Now he'll watch Gonzalez Germain take over and try to keep it a 1-run game. Derek Norris in the 7th will lead it off. 6, 7, and 8 for the Padres.
For Gonzalez, an inning and 2/3 in the Arizona series. Gave up 1 hit and 1 strikeout. He's going back to utilizing the fastball more than he did last year. Kind of got slider and changeup happy. Now it's the fastball with the movement.
It's kind of amazing. John Gray now will go 12 starts to begin his career without producing a victory. The only guy longer to start a career since 1913 without producing a win, getting all starts, not coming out of the bullpen at some point in time. Levon Hernandez, or excuse me, it's not Levon, it's Liam Hendricks. Liam Hendricks went 17 starts in 2011 and 12 with the Twins. John Gray's going to win. He's going to win a lot of games too. You pitch like that. But it's frustrating. And John, I think, grew up a lot between last year and through the offseason and spring training.
Couldn't agree more.
I think John, he'll continue to handle it well, and he'll know that, listen, if you throw the baseball like you have tonight, like he did against the Dodgers, you're going to win more often than you lose.
You're right, but hey, you know it's just eating him. Man, I got to get that first one. I got to get that first one.
Absolutely. Two ground ball, shattered bat. DJ's got it, 1 out.
Looking to come out to a game? There's always great Rockies ticket deals available. So bookmark Rockies.com/specials and check back throughout the season.
That'll bring up Jamal Weeks, a line out and a strikeout for Weeks. See where Pablo Sandoval has had, the weight issues and then lost his starting job in Boston. Has a shoulder injury, out for the year for the Red Sox.
Wow, I didn't see that one.
Swinging bunt that's foul. Bunch of guys with big names who had tough Aprils. Jason Hayward, the big contract, it's been masked because his Cubs have done so well, but he's hitting just .211. Joey Votto hit a long home run today, but he's at .231. Tulo really struggling. .165 batting average through more than 90 at bats. Albert, .192. A-Rod, .203. Prince Fielder in the low 200s. Andrew McCutchen, who we just saw and had the big day against the Rockies with the 3 home runs, but .228 average overall. It's interesting also because, Huey, had any of those guys produced a month like that, say June or July, you wouldn't notice it because you'd assume they'd already put up some pretty good numbers to begin with. But when it happens out of the gate,
reminds me of Cargo last year.
Yeah.
And the numbers that he put up in April and even part into May. But then how he rebounded and how he finished.
Yeah, with the guys on that list, check back in a few months and see where they are.
I think guys on that list, the only guy the Rockies will not see this year is going to be Albert. Everybody else, because of interleague in the schedule, they'll see.
Two and two. This young man's done a good job, Germain. Just missed there. It's 3 and 2.
He's been asked to pitch in different roles, but lately it's been more in the later section of the game.
Every time I see Jamal, I said, I don't know what happened in the Weeks household growing up, but.
Well, and he's a switch hitter too.
Yeah.
Ricky is not.
Ricky's built like a linebacker, and Jamal's built like a little slot receiver. And a ground ball to Paulson. 2 outs. That'll bring up Travis Jankowski. Jankowski struck out twice against John Gray, once swinging, once looking. Rockies in the 8th inning will have Cargo, Nolan, Gerardo Parra. Guessing it'll be Brandon Maurer.
He is normally their 8th inning guy, and there he is, almost on cue.
And he's been throwing the ball well.
I mentioned the strikeout of Jankowski. The only guy in the lineup that did not strike out against John Gray was Will Myers. Everybody else had at least one. Jankowski had 2.
Again, it's strange. First 4 guys reach, 2 broken bat hits, sharp double down the left field line, third base line, more accurately put by Kemp, then a walk. That's in there, 2-1 to Wallace. And after that, I mean, nobody came close to touching John Gray. Gave up a Kemp single in the 6th inning. That ended a run of 16 in a row retired. Good sinking fastball from Germain, 2-2.
They were fast outs. It wasn't the 8 pitch at bat. 7 pitch. They were maybe 3, 4, 5 at the most, and they were done.
Two outs. Here's the 2-2 outside, 3-2. And Germain loses Jankowski. This will be Rosales. Came in a double switch at third base.
Bartolo Colon with win number 220.
7 shutout innings. Rocky shift 3 to the left side for Rosales. See the zany suit trip for the Cubs and all the wacky colors. It was pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, and they had to wear them all the time, even outside the hotel. Otherwise, they were fined $100.
That sounds like a Joe Madden team, right?
Yes, it does. And they go into Pittsburgh and win tonight.
Well, they ought to be loose. What are they now, 18-5?
Best record in baseball.
Oh, 2, 18-6. My apologies to the Cub fans. That's a picture right there. You know, they had a blast. I don't know. Where do you come up with suits like that?
Joe went on the internet earlier this spring. Started looking for him, and then that's how this idea came about. Now watch Jankowski. He might run. Good speed at first.
Rockies trying to turn things around here at Petco. They're just 5-17 their last 22 games in San Diego, and they're down 2-1 here in the bottom of the 7th. One of the big reasons that the Padres have dominated the Rockies the last year plus at Petco is their bullpen has an ERA of 1.04. Look at Andy Green, first-year manager, outside.
Good lead from Jankowski.
Not going, and it's 2-2. Boy, Nick reacted though like he thought he was going.
He was going. Well, it was a 1-2 count, so it is a running count. Maybe he just anticipated that he was going to take off. That ball skipped on him, and he was in the soft hands to knock it down.
And that skips to the backstop. And it's 3-2, and Jankowski's in scoring position on the wild pitch.
3-2 to Weeks. Got him out, and then 3-2 to Jankowski. Ended up walking him, and now 3-2 to Rosales. Scott Oberg getting loose in a hurry.
Well, you don't want to give up a cheap one here. You got the first two guys out. You were ahead of Jankowski and lost him. You were ahead of Rosales 0-2, and now it's 3-2. Swung on and missed. Good job by Germain to come back and get Rosales. So we'll go to the 8th. The Rockies trailing 2-1 in San Diego. And for Colorado, it'll be Cargo, Nolan, and Parra.
Fourth as we go to the 8th. Cargo leads off. You see Nolan Arenado. He is due up next. Nolan Arenado, since May 1st of 2015 to May 1st, yesterday, exactly 50 home runs. 25 home, 25 on the road, 40 against righties. And look what he's done against the NL West. Let's see as these guys in the middle of the order come up to the Rocks if they can get another one.
And the first pitch mark to Cargo is outside and low, ball 1. Ryan Buchter remaining in there, at least for Cargo.
Brandon Maurer is still getting loose in the bullpen for the Padres. Just kind of hanging out, seeing what happens.
I assume he'll be in after one hitter. One and two.
You can just tell the guys don't see the ball and not picking it up off of Ryan Buchter. Just late swings.
Buchter strikes out Cargo, 1 gone in the 8th, and Andy Green comes out. He struck out 4 hitters. The only guy he didn't get was Rayburn, who walked. Brandon Maurer will come aboard for San Diego in a 2-1 ball game when we come back. On Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide, and by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. Inside Petco Park, the Rockies trail 2-1, despite the fact that they've out-hit the Padres 9-4. They've left 7 on. Brandon Maurer hard-throwing right-handers in, and his fastball's outside, ball 1 at 95. Maurer has allowed the league to hit just .217 against him.
Righties 231, lefties 200. Also has 16 strikeouts, right behind Buchter, who, with the 4 that he tossed tonight, now has 20.
You know, initially in spring training, Maurer was working as a starter, and they kind of scrapped that plan later on in spring training. He was a reliever last year and had good numbers. 1.73 ERA last year. .97, misses down low. 2-2. Nolan 2 for 3. Good eye, 3-2. Nolan's hit 81 home runs in the big leagues. 67 of them have been pulled. And some people say, well, you know, is that a signal that, you know, there's danger ahead? This is grabbed by Mauer. 2 outs. No,
I don't think
because,
so.
you know, that he just is able to never get beat on the inner half. I looked up Jose Bautista. Since 2013, he's hit 108 home runs. 105 have been either pulled or to left center field. He's only hit 3 to right. Nobody's complaining about Joey Bats.
No, they're just saying, does he hit home runs? Yeah.
Yeah.
We saw it in Arizona with Nolan pulling that inside fastball. I mean, what are you going to do with that? They throw you in, you hit it, you pull it.
Parra 1 for 3, now an 8-game hitting streak. He takes low. Oberg and Carlos Estevez. Two and one.
That was kind of a mixture between his fastball and slider. Between those two pitches about 90% of the time. And he can dial it up to 96, 98.
Two. And it's 3-2. Strikes out Gerardo Parra. That is the first 1-2-3 inning of the night for San Diego. 2-1 Padres. the 8th inning. Here's our CenturyLink link to what's next. The matchup tomorrow here at San Diego. Eddie Butler will get his first start of the year. He was good in relief against the Pirates. And Andrew Kashner, hard-throwing right-hander, will make his 6th start for the Friars. That's tomorrow right here on Root Sports. We're on the air at 7:30 with the pregame show. Scott Oberg will throw the bottom of the 8th inning, and he will face the top of the order for San Diego. John Jay, Will Myers, Matt Kemp.
And for Scott, an inning in the Arizona series, working on a 3 innings pitched scoreless streak. Be up to him to keep it here. Give that offense one more crack in this 2-1 affair.
Way outside, ball 1 on Jay. That's a base hit for Jay.
The Colorado Rockies home run for the Homeless 5K is Sunday, May 8th. Go to Rockies.com/5K to register today.
Will Myers 1 for 3. Hitting .367 at home this year.
He swung at the first pitch every time tonight. And he goes and takes this one.
Fernando Rodney, veteran closer, now employed by the Padres, is getting ready in San Diego's pen. Strike 2. Ground ball hooked through the infield on an 0-2 pitch, and now it's first and second, nobody out.
Will Myers, that is now his 18th hit with 2 strikes. It's tops in the major leagues. You put the ball in play, good things will happen. He just reaches out, and you know if you get it by Nolan at third base, even with the dive, you've done something special. Goes off the glove, right off the edge of the glove.
So here comes Matt Kemp. Oberg trying to keep it a 1-run game. One and one on Kemp. 2 hits tonight for Kemp, 2 for 3.
San Diego 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position, and it was this guy right here.
Center field and deep, playable for Blackmon. Tagging is Jay, and behind him is Myers. So it'll be second and third with one out on the long fly ball by Kemp.
Jim thought he had that one, but smart base running from John Jay and Will Myers to tag up. Oh, belt high hanging curveball. Scott thought that he had hit it out. So did Matt Kemp.
So Melvin Upton Jr. is going to pinch hit here in what is now the pitcher spot. Upton, a dangerous bat. He's swinging the bat better this year. Steve Foster will go out. But he's also a guy that strikes out a lot. And that's what you like to see clearly right now.
25 times in his 85 at-bats he struck out. This year for Upton, 0 for 2 pitch hitting. Sitting .333 with runners in scoring position for San Diego, but just a career .243 hitter. Good speed at third. You have to play the infield in at the edge of the grass.
Ball one on Upton. And good speed at third, good speed at second.
They're just going to put him on now to set up the double play.
Means Alexi Ramirez will come up with the bases full and one out. Ramirez tonight, a strikeout, a pop out, and a ground ball to short.
I was wondering what was going on with the umpire and Alexi, but he was just telling me he had a cup that was hooked to his shoe.
I don't want to play with that.
No.
Here's a strike.
We'll roll it up here, boys.
One and one on Ramirez. 7-game hitting streak coming in. Jay, Myers, and Upton. 2 hits and an intentional walk. Slowly hit, and Nolan had no play.
Foul ball.
It is foul. Well, where he grabbed that, I wasn't sure.
No, but it was off the leg of Ramirez.
Well, that's why.
That's why. Yeah, it's not where he grabbed. It was Ramirez fouled it off that shin guard that he has on his left foot.
Yep. It looked pretty clear that Nolan was in fair territory. One and two on Ramirez. Back up the middle, could be two. There's one on the first double play. So Scott Oberg gets a 4-6-3 to keep it a one-run game. And in the ninth inning, the Rockies will see Fernando Rodney. It'll be Hundley, Paulson, and LeMahieu. Rally against one of the veteran closers in the game, 39-year-old Fernando Rodney. And Nick Hundley will lead things off. Nick's been on base all three plate appearances tonight. A walk, an RBI double, and a single.
Fernando Rodney 4 for 4 in save opportunities. The only member of the staff for the Padres that has a save. A couple moves as Melvin Upton Jr. stays in the ball game. He'll go to left field, and then Travis Jankowski slides over from left to right to take the place of Matt Kemp. And you mentioned the age of Fernando Rodney. He's 3.5 months older than his manager, Andy Green. Andy won't turn 39 until July.
That's something, huh? Now, this is a guy that's pitched in a lot of big games in his career, postseason games, World Series games, been in the All-Star game, World Baseball Classic. And the first pitch misses, ball one to Nick Hundley. Career high 48 saves for Seattle in 2014. He also had 48 with Tampa in 2012. 2-0.
That's a good start.
Now, this whole game has been a frustrating one offensively for the Rockies. They've had a ton of traffic. Other than Nick's double, they haven't gotten the key hit, the clutch hit. They have out-hit the Padres 9-6, and this is bounced to third. And a good play at third by Rosales. Bring up Ben Paulson. Who wants tacos? Fans, follow at @RootSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies score 7 or more runs. 240 career saves for Fernando Rodney, 4th among active pitchers. Changeup for a strike.
That's one thing that Fernando hasn't changed in his career. It's been fastball changeup his whole career, and that's what it is at 39 years of age.
And whenever you think of Fernando Rodney, you think of the hat that's
right.
crooked on the head. Another changeup. It's 0-2. Signed by the Tigers back in 1997 out of the Dominican. Rockies down to their final out. 3 changeups, and Ben Paulson's gone.
It's pretty much been the pitching pattern tonight to Ben. From changeups away, Fernando turned that one over, and that was just a pitcher's pitch. If there ever was one. Turn it over, make it appear like a strike coming out of the hand, and end up a ball.
DJ 2 for 3. Trying to get Mark Reynolds, who's on deck, to the plate. Got a lot of life in the arm, too. 94.
And some movement.
A ball and a strike on LeMahieu. And a called strike on the corner, 1-2.
It's low on the Subaru strike zone. He was called out in the 7th inning on a pitch inside.
One, 2 on DJ. Two and 2. Rockies with a 3-game winning streak. Nolan looking on. Last 4-game winning streak last July for Colorado. That's in jeopardy. 2-2, and it's on the ground to short. Ramirez has it, and the Padres win game 1 of this 3-game set. 2-1. Frustrating night for the Rockies. They cannot take advantage of a great, I mean great performance by Jon Gray. Gave up 2 runs in the first. After that, he was nearly unhittable. He retired 16 in a row at one point. But Gray will take the loss. He's 0-1. Shields gets his first victory of the year. He's 1-4. And Rodney's now 5 out of 5 in save opportunities. And the Rockies' woes in San Diego, at least the last couple of years, continue. They're now 5-18.